I tell you what. But I'm from Melbourne, where I've got 3 kids, one of each. I don't know, can you say that these days? No, we're in a men's shed night. Yeah, it's not politically correct to say that, is it? You know, boy, if I had $1 for every gender in the world, I'd have $2 and a whole bunch of counterfeits. But it's weird, isn't it, right? No, we love everybody, but it's weird. We've got to have have a laugh, right? I think it's gone crazy. It's weird. We're like, everyone says weird stuff these days. Like you see guys that see a girl they like, they go, oh man, oh boy. They see something they like and go, oh, that's sick. It's good. It's all opposites. It's all different to how we speak. Everything's a bit backwards. But now I mentioned I've got 3 kids and they love some of the Scottish voices. Or my wife used to love Sean Connery, who was yes, the greatest James Bond in the world. Yes, who wasn't feeling you'd always say, I could never say S. It was always yes. Yes, I wasn't feeling 100% during isolation. A book at my head, I could only blame myself. It was great. But my kids loved the Shrek and Donkey type of voices. So yeah, we'd have them as our GPS in the car. And we're driving in the car, we're going far, far away. Isn't this exciting? Donkey, how great is this? Oh man, I'm in the car with you, Shrek. This is everything my life, man. You know, man, before this I was alone, I was them late. We was about manless dirty. By the way, Shrek, are we there yet? Are we there? Come on, Shrek. Yeah. My little girl, she loved the donkey, which is the Eddie Murphy voice, and she got so excited. I tuck her in to sleep and go, Dad loves you. I'm going to sleep now. Okay, see you later. Bye-bye. And she gets so excited, and then I'm going to walk out the room, and she's like, Mr. Bean, Dad. Oh, good Lord. Then she wanted Gru from Despicable Me. Go to sleep, minions. Okay, Daddy loves you. I'm going now. All right, bye-bye. And she just got so excited. It's so cute. She's 17, so... So we're getting through it. We're just getting through all the COVID stuff. In Melbourne, we couldn't go more than 5Ks. Yeah. I know they tried to introduce it here, but Rocky is 5K. Just a little bit, yeah. No, it's all right. But that was our world. And then our lovely leader.
Chairman Dan.
Yeah. What do you call him?
Chairman.
Chairman Dan. That's a nice way of putting it. Yeah. I didn't even know who our premier was when I was my kid's age. I didn't even know how to spell dictator when I was their age. But we had 5K zone, and then he said, oh, okay, we're going to make it 10 kilometres now, okay, right, 10 kilometres. And we were like, woo, yes! And we can drive past even more shops that are closed. How fun is that? Yeah, that was awesome though. But we were able to travel, and it was tough for a while, homeschooling our kids for, we were 263 days, wow. Not in a row, but it felt like it was tough, and homeschooling our kids, they did well, they all got A+ on everything. Now that they're back at school, I don't know who's giving them the right answers now, but they're doing all right. And my youngest was, she was doing grade 3 at the time. The maths was so, it wasn't near that hard the first 2 times I did grade 3. It was like advanced. I couldn't work it. I hated fractions when I was a kid. Well, half the class loved them, the other 2/3 not so much. It's hard work. I don't know how we got through it. PE teachers had it easy. They said, just go play some sport and go watch Netflix. But we were just playing tennis in the kitchen. Just my daughter and I, that's what it came down to. And the true story, I just go, I thought it'd be hotter than this. And she looked up and she went, yeah, I don't know what Mum saw in you. Wow. I've never been more offended and so proud of her at the same time. Kind of mixed emotions. It's kind of how the last few years have been, mixed emotions, been good and bad, and it's crazy. And I mean, even at the start of COVID, even before it all, right? I remember actually I was doing a cruise ship gig, and anyone ever done a cruise ship? Yeah, they're fun. Going on a cruise ship, and I remember telling my wife the first time I ever did one, I said, you can trust me, honey, it's going to be fine. I know I'm going to be away for a week, but you can trust me. And when I got on board, I was like, I don't have to worry, because I told her the average age is between 80 and dead, so you don't have to worry. I'll be fine. No, it was good. It was totally fine. And but I remember going on this cruise ship around. It was actually on South Africa, right? It was all exciting, and they got me off at Mozambique, which I was really worried because their flag has 2 AK-47s on it. But true. And I was just walking around the top deck, and I was praying, and I was saying. Because, the kids were so busy, and my son was doing basketball and piano, so it was a couple nights a week, and my girls were doing ballet and singing and all the activities they're doing, and we were just like, we need more time with the family, and I'm travelling, and it's like, I wish I didn't have to travel so much, and I'm praying, God, I'd love to not travel so much, and I'd love not to be all so busy, and then about a month later, it all happened. Everything was answered, and it was like amazing. And I remember telling my kids, and they go, "You caused COVID, Dad." I did, yes. Sorry, guys, it was me, but that was amazing, actually. As bad as it was, as horrible as it was, whether we agree with it or not, it wasn't a good thing. No one, except for the owners of Zoom. It wasn't great, but we enjoyed these moments where we were together as a family. It was just so awesome, and we're playing board games. It was so we didn't do jigsaw puzzles, but we did board games. We were playing Cluedo a couple nights a week, and it was just so nice. I mean, nothing says family like a good old game of murder. It does, right? But we enjoyed it. It was just actually so fun to play those games and have time with each other, and. I don't think it's realistic, the Cluedo board game. I don't know about you, I don't know anyone with a conservatory, a library, a ballroom. They should make an Aussie version. Yeah?
Rockhampton, is it?
Rockhampton, is it? And you could guess, was it Shane with the brick in the shed? That's the game I want to play. Yeah. But actually, it did get me, as bad as stuff was a few years ago, well, maybe still is, depends what we think, but as bad as these things are, I honestly can say it's made me pray more, it's made me read the Bible more, it brought some people more to church, some people left, but my faith, my relationship with God is so much stronger. When there's difficulty, it's like weights at the gym. You can either go, oh, it's going to crush me, or you can go, actually, I'm going to push back. This is going to make me stronger. And it's hard at first, but you end up getting stronger through it. And you go, I would never have chose that, but boy, I'm glad I'm here. Who knows what, I think, God had already put me through a lot of tests, so I was prepared because I'll tell you some of my story. I won't start at the start and tell you I was born at a very young age, but I grew up as a Christian, knowing the Lord, and I was unashamed. I didn't care what people thought. Didn't care. Kids don't tend to care, but I didn't care if people go, "Oh, you're a Christian?" Yep. I'd tell everybody. I'd tell people at the park, open air preach, tell them you got to believe in Jesus. And I didn't care what they thought of me. But the older I got, I started to care. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, because you get looked at like, oh, you're a Christian. Oh, okay. And I started to really, I think more in my late teens and, in high school, and when I'm starting to do comedy a lot more, you want that popularity. You want people to like you. You want people to see what you do. And the moment, you tell me you're a Christian, it's like all that work's undone, and it's like, oh, right, okay. And I started to feel like that became my focus, which is great to do comedy, and it built my career over it, and that was everything. So there's nothing wrong with it per se, but when I was putting that above God, something wasn't quite right. God was still in my life, but he wasn't central to my life. He was always there. I always loved the Lord. Always. Because ever since I can remember, I can't remember not loving God, but I didn't have the fear of God. That's the big difference. And so I had to come back to that, but it wasn't just a decision that I made, because I was putting all that first. I was trying to get on TV, I was trying to make it happen, I was trying to push myself to be like the next Jim Carrey or whoever, you know, all these characters that I do. I was trying to become one of those and trying to get into movies and do all this and that, and it was just like pushing and trying. And meanwhile, I felt something like, oh, why am I so embarrassed to tell people I'm a Christian? Why is that such a struggle? How come, you know, have you ever had that? People ask me, what did you do on the weekend? Oh, we went out and had dinner, we watched the footy. And then I'd say, oh, I should have told them I went to church. Because people need to know the Lord. It's like, why am I struggling with that? Why? I'm not embarrassed to tell about anything else or anyone else, but you know that they're going to go, oh, right. And they might not say anything, but they might. And so for a long time I struggled, and I was, you know, ashamed, if you like. And 2009, when was that? 14 years ago? Something like that. Yeah, there's three types of people, those that can count and those that can't. So it was way back then, during the whole KFC, or the GFC. And, but I remember I had learned all these. I had a friend of mine who said he'd learned all these chapters of the Bible. And I was like, wow, that's impressive, to learn chapters. I mean, I used to learn verses, but we did it as a challenge. We said, let's learn chapters. And we started with the Psalms. And I remember telling this Chinese lady how Psalm 1 had helped me. She goes, oh, someone helped me too. Not someone, Psalm 1. So we learned right through to Psalm 8. And this was good. But meanwhile, I was still, I guess, ashamed. I hadn't really been, you know, in the Bible it says, don't cover your light under a bowl, rather put it on a lampstand. I was kind of covering it under a bowl, not literally, but in a spiritual manner. I was like, you know, didn't mind if people knew I was a Christian at church, but out in the world, I didn't really want to talk about it. I was embarrassed to talk about it. But yeah, I'd learnt these Psalms, and 2009, late that year, I remember I went to bed, I woke up in the middle of the night with this headache. And it was not just the headache where you go, oh, take some Panadol, you'll be right. I felt it at the back of my head, and I felt like I was going to pass out and maybe even die, which I was like, what's wrong with me? This is not good. And then I barely slept that night. I just pushed my way through the next day to sleep it off. I don't know what that was. And then, you know, the same thing happened again. Woke up in the middle of the night, back of my head, thought I'm going to pass out, and this is not good. I'm feeling tension at my arms across my chest, and I tell my wife, I'm going to go to the hospital now. She said, you're going to be right, hopefully. And I drove to the hospital, I went to the emergency department, and they said, oh, well, you know, a couple $100, that stressed me out. But that's all right, I'm going to get it. They do a blood test, see if I'm okay. You might want to have a sleep. And I said, oh, we'll see, because I couldn't sleep. And I thought, oh, this is a good time to have the Bible right now. But I don't, and I thought, oh, I've just learned 8 Psalms, I don't know, it might even help me, may not, but I'll just quote them in my head. And so I'm sitting there, and I thought I'll start in the middle of Psalm 4, and I'm feeling stressed, I need some relief, I need an answer, and it just happened to be, answer me when I call you, my righteous God, give me relief from my distress, be merciful to me, and hear my cry for help. And I sat there and went, wow, okay, that's not a coincidence right there. That's, Lord, I needed that. That's exactly how I'm feeling. And right at the end of that chapter it says, and I will lay down and sleep in peace, for you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety. I thought, well, I'm not sleeping well, and that's good. I know you're with me, God. And everything was okay. The doctor said you could get a CT brain scan for peace of mind, which I did. Then another Indian doctor came out, and he's like, results, he goes, it's okay, nothing. What? Talking about my brain here. Nothing, no, it's okay, you're just stressed. It's all good, fine, totally fine. I was like, okay. Anyway, so I had the anxiety. So many people have anxiety. And I'll say severe. It was so bad, it was the feeling of, you know, if you've ever misplaced your kids, which is not good, but we've all done it. And it might be for 30 seconds, but it feels like 3 minutes, and that panicked kind of feeling, I was going through that relentlessly. it was horrible. It was like a nightmare, and I couldn't sleep at night. And the more you can't sleep, the worse the anxiety becomes. And it was just this nightmare, horrible time in my life. And I was praying, God, please get me out of this. It was just a horrific thing. But eventually, there was one day. In fact, I got laser eye surgery booked in at that time. I was a sucker for punishment. And no, it was just happened to be, but I was like, do I do it or not? And I remember thinking, it'll distract me from the pain of the anxiety. I'm looking forward to it. It was weird. And then I got that and I'm like, oh no, I regret that because this is worse. And the pain was like, I remember just, I couldn't see because I'm wearing these eye patches and I'm, oh no, my eyes are sore and I'm feeling anxious. And it was just coming to the Lord, just saying, God, please help me. Why am I going through all this? Now, I didn't hear an audible voice as such, but I knew that God, through the Holy Spirit, was just speaking to me, and I just knew I had to get real. Because I said, God, I just came to the Lord and said, God, I'm so sorry because I've been trying to do everything in my own strength. I've been trying to, nothing wrong with my career, but I've been just making that my idol, and it's been, number one. You're number one, God. You gave me that, even if you don't want me to do it. And even though I'd been praying, God, can you help what I'm doing here? I said, God, if you don't want me to do it, it belongs to you. I'm doing it your way. I said, I'm not playing games. I'm all in now. I'm not half-hearted anymore. And I don't care if I lose popularity, fame, money. I have. It doesn't matter. But I'm all in because I know what it is to have you. And that's all I want. That's the number one thing. And I just felt God's grace. I just knew there was things that I had to ask the Lord for forgiveness, anger, or if I'd had lustful thoughts, they were there, and I just said, God, I'm focused on you. And that was like a turning point in my life about, it was late, 2009. And since then, God's still working on me a lot. There's been a lot of things, but boy, I tell you what, it's like, wow, when you give everything up for the Lord, when, He gave up everything for us, so that we can give up everything for Him. We think, it's not going to be good because we love our lives. We love our things, but when we say, God, I don't care, I just want you. And you stop caring about what others think about you. You just want to share the Lord and share the gospel. And I've come back to that, like Darren said, that I said, I need to go out and tell people. And I was nervous telling people about the gospel. I'm used to being on stage, but it's not just confidence. You need God's grace and His Holy Spirit to give you that strength to tell people about the gospel. And I thought I'd share you this little story of kind of what that means, because I reckon it would have been, 20 years ago, I had a manager who looked after all my comedy. And there was this lady who wanted to sign a 3-year contract. And I remember at the time saying, maybe a year, because what if it doesn't work out? It's just like, okay, we'll do a year. And we barely made 6 months before we realized we're kind of on separate pages here, right? So we said, let's part ways, amicably, all good. But she owed me a bit of money. And so the money that she owed me was about $8,500. Yeah, that's what I charged. No. I wish. This was an accumulation of various gigs that were all there. So I was wanting to get that money. I had invoiced this lady. I'd sent that to her. I'd emailed her. I'd texted her. I'd rang her. I think I went to her house. I was getting no response. I was like, okay, this is getting a bit nervous here. And there's a whole bunch of crazy reasons of why she didn't. But I was legitimately owed money. And I just said, I just want to be paid, no interest. I just want, but she had no interest in paying me, so it was a bit like that. And $8,500. There was a guy at my church was a lawyer, and I said, could you write a letter? As soon as she sees a legal letterhead, I think she'll pay straight away. Yeah, and that'll be easy. End of story. I was naive, and so he wrote her a letter, and after letter, and by the way, he said, I'm going to give you half price. I was like, oh. That's lovely. Didn't expect it, but I was appreciative. And he's written her all these letters. And went on for a little over a year. And guess what? I didn't get paid. And he said, we could go to court, but you might spend $15,000 in court costs. And I went, yeah, nah. I prayed about it at the time, said, I think, I've done everything I can, we'll just call it a loss and, that's it. Yeah, never mind. We did our best, and then I was going to get his invoice in the mail. And I'm thinking, well, he's a good guy, and he's giving me half price, it won't be that bad. It can't be that bad, right? So I get the letter, and I remember, it's pretty thick. Oh, wow, okay. So I sat down to read this long legal letter. It was 4 pages long. If you've ever seen a legal letter, every little thing is itemized. I'm going, okay, there's that. Oh, wow, yep, that. And, oh my goodness. That's, okay. And, at that time we had a phone call, 26.3 seconds, and it's all there. And I can't dispute it because it's like legitimate costs here. And I'm thinking, okay, this is really rough. And then I'm like, oh my goodness, that cost there, that cost there. Oh, this is not good. And I'm starting to sweat a bit and I'm going, this is heavier than I thought it was going to be. And I don't know if I want to look at the grand total now. I've started, it's not going to be that bad. And suddenly, okay, I'm getting really nervous to read the rest of this letter, page after page, and cost after cost. And that time he bought me a coffee, and now he's charging me for the meeting. And, it was all above board, right? It was all there. I couldn't dispute it. And I get to the grand total, and I'm going, oh no. Guess what? It was $8,500. Not only was I legitimately owed $8,500, now I legitimately rightfully have to pay $8,500. This is not fair. I was nearly crying. I was like, I don't have that. I don't have it. And then I looked, because I thought maybe I made a mistake. Maybe it's hundreds. And then, no, it was real. $8,500. But the strangest thing, right underneath where it said $8,500, it had these 3 words. It said, but say nil. Huh? You ever seen that? I'd never seen this in my life. I'm looking at it going, but say nil. What? No, I'm not that smart, but I'm like, it's $8,500. But say nil, which means nothing. Is that what it means? I don't know. I rang it, and apparently that's what it means. I was like, yeah, that's what it means, because they can say, but say $100. They could say, but say $1,000. They can say, but say anything they want. They could say, 50, but say 35. That's how they talk. And I said, are you happy? I said, I am so happy with that. That is amazing. I'm thinking, why don't you just tell me, don't even send the letter. Save me all that pain. He said, yes, I'm so happy. I said, is there anything I can do for you? He said, no, we'll just go out to dinner and we'll celebrate. I said, I'm very happy with that. That is amazing, right? It's like, wow. Now, that happened 20 years ago. A few years ago, I was thinking about this. And I thought, what would it be like? I just thought about it. What would it be like? And you might want to think about this, guys. What would it be like if we got a letter, an account of our lives from God? Well, he's good. He's pretty fair, right? He's kind. He's loving. Bring it on. Yeah, I'll get a letter, a 4-page. It might be more than 4 pages. It could be boxes we're going through. It's like looking through old photos and you go, oh, I remember that. Oh, wow, yeah. That's cool. And then you see, wow, that. You get to your teenage years and you go, oh, I didn't know that was going to be. You're looking at this letter go, there's that cost right there. Okay. And then you, oh no, I didn't know anyone saw that. That was that time that I looked with lust at that girl and I didn't tell anyone about it. And it's there. But you start to realize as you're looking through this letter that God sees everything you do. In secret, He knows your heart intentions, He knows your thoughts. Before you even think them, He knows. It's all there. And I can't dispute it. It's written in there. And you're thinking, oh, I know what's to come. I know the rest of my teenage years. I know what I did. I know what, oh my goodness. And you're thinking, this is not good. And then you start to see all these little asterisks and you're like, what are they? And that's every time I lied. And you're like, I don't lie much. Apparently I do. It's page after page. There's so many of them. Little white lies, they're all there. And it's almost every day they're there. And then you see these times where I said, oh my, and you say God's name. Well, that's just an expression. But it's there. It's all marked. And you're like, oh wow. That time I hated that kid in high school. Oh, everybody did, right? come on, we couldn't stand that guy, right? Surely, and that's seen as murder. Like you're looking at this, and you go, this is heavy. I felt God was good, but this is. It feels like I'm being judged here. This is heavy duty, right? You're thinking, I don't want to see the grand total of this letter, because you know there's so much more, and you're sort of skimming over it. You don't even want to read it, but you keep reading it because you get to the grand total, and it says, and it's again strange language, maybe sort of legal language. It's talking about payment. It says the wages of your sin every time you break the law is death. I know we're going to die, but it's talking about the second death in hell. And you're like, God, no, that's way too much. I can't deal with that. I'm thinking I'm not that bad, but apparently that's it. Is that what I legitimately deserve? I'm going to glance back. Did I make a mistake there? And you look and you see, again, it says, but say, paid in full. You're like, what? Hang on a minute, God. I'm not smart again. Look, but what are you trying to say here? Paid in full? What does that actually mean? And you realize it says, yes, the wages of your sin is death. Yeah, that's pretty extreme. But the gift of God is eternal life in Christ Jesus. God, is there anything I can do for you? Anything I can do to help? I'll help you gladly. No, I've done it all for you. Christ has done it for us, guys. We don't do anything. We've got our sin, but he paid the fine. Not with money. He paid it with his life on the cross. It's the best news in the world. And he rose again, and that new life, if we turn from that sin and we put our trust in him, we receive it. It's a free gift. It's the best news in the world. I will serve you, whatever I can do for you, God. Isn't that the greatest? So that's the gospel. That's what I've come back to. When I was lukewarm, it wasn't good. And even though I'd been a Christian all my life, I had been going to church. I'd been messing around doing sinful things that, most people would go, you're not that bad, but I don't compare myself to those. I compare myself to God, who's perfect and holy, and say, God, I'm not good. But only God can make me good. Only he can give me the strength. It's not like I've suddenly started trying harder. It's just I've allowed God's strength in my life. So guys, don't be lukewarm. Jesus said, I'd rather spit you out of my mouth. Just get right with God. Get back to God. And if you don't know God, when I say know God, what does that mean? Jesus said, eternal life is this, that they would know the one and only God and Jesus who you revealed. Because that word for know is to intimately know him. To love him and just don't be religious. We don't want that. Well, what do I have to do? It's just, I want to know you. So if you don't know God, there is a God. He's a very real God. And he came to this earth and he wants to know you intimately. And there's nothing greater than knowing him, especially knowing what he could have done to me. God, I love you so much to know that you, even though I deserve that punishment, you rescued me. So if you don't know God, talk to me, talk to someone that can point you in that direction. And if you've been like me, if you've been lukewarm, stop chasing whatever it is and go after God. Simple as that. Just turn from that and say, God, I'm all in for you. You are all in for me. I want to be all in for you. Would you mind if I pray for you guys?